What would be the wildest thing that you've seen in Binghamton?
And not super wild, but if you walk down any of the main streets, you'll see at least 3 or 4 people ramming their head into the side of the building and just on the ground, rolling around. Tough to watch sometimes.
It is a cool, foggy morning in Binghamton, New York, which, with a poverty rate of 32.6%, is actually the poorest city in the state. If you couldn't tell, this building directly in front of me is completely abandoned. I think it used to be the Spot Diner and Restaurant. And the fog that is just ever so present in this city, it's the cloudiest city east of the Rocky Mountains. It just adds to the creepy vibe of this town. This is actually the first Tesla supercharger I've been to that literally says no amenities next to it. Normally there's at least a gas station, a hotel, a McDonald's, there's something. Here, it is just an overgrown forest, an abandoned building, and a lot of litter. It looks like this forest has not been upkept whatsoever. Yeah, that's a lot of trash. Now, Binghamton is located in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains in south central New York. It's about 60 miles north of Scranton, Pennsylvania, and 60 miles south of Syracuse, which would be the 2 closest, somewhat decently sized cities. It's 190 miles northwest of Manhattan and 200 miles southeast of Buffalo. Yes, a lot of people forget this, but New York is actually quite a large state. At over 54,000 square miles, it's the 6th largest state east of the Mississippi River, and it actually takes 6 hours to drive across the state from Buffalo to New York City. So while nearly 2/3 of the population lives in the New York City metro, as you can see by the beautiful misty Chenango River that I am now driving over, Upstate is home to so much pristine, beautiful nature, as well as countless historic cities and towns that you've likely never even heard of, such as Binghamton, which was once a major manufacturing center and later a high-tech hub. So why are the streets nearly empty, so many storefronts completely abandoned, and why does nearly 1/3 of its population and 41% of its children live in poverty today? Well, as we are now in the downtown area, how about we park the car, talk to some locals, and hopefully find out. This is a cool building right here. So I'm now at Confluence Park, just directly south of downtown, and as the name suggests, I am most certainly at the confluence of 2 rivers. It seems like there are some man-made rapids on the Susquehanna River, which is this one down there. And then to my right is the Chenango River, which is the one that we drove over just a little earlier. And just the way that the mist is being carried off the surface, it is so freaking picturesque. Look at that. We are going to be checking out the south side of town later as well. But first, I want to head up north and explore downtown a little. Over here, it says Chenango River Promenade. I guess there's a whole little walking path. I think that person is just sleeping. I hope they're not dead. So already quite apparent in my first few minutes in the city, there is a fair amount of poverty. Yeah, it looks like there's another person sitting under the little tunnel. The day I'm filming this is also October the 6th, which means fall is just starting here in the Northeast. In probably about 2 weeks, all of these trees are going to be beautiful colors. And this is Confluence Park. Keep Binghamton clean. Well, sadly, from first glance, it does not appear that this city is clean. Chenango Canal. The southern end of the 97-mile-long canal was at the river confluence. It moved Pennsylvania coal, local lumber, and goods to the Erie Canal. So I guess the Chenango Canal was right here at that Confluence Park. Over here is Welcome to Two Rivers Greenway. You can look at all these nearby attractions. Yeah, so I don't think cars are allowed on this bridge. I do believe it is a pedestrian and bike bridge only. Oh, look at the way the sun is poking through the clouds. It's kind of eerie, honestly. Mist on the river. But a few general facts about Binghamton as we check out what this statue is. Binghamton is the largest city in the county seat of Broome County, which is also the poorest county in upstate New York with a poverty rate of 20.8%. To those from Broome County who served in the Spanish-American War. Now, in comparison, Manhattan only has a poverty rate of 15.6%, so over 5% lower. And despite having a population of over 80,000 residents at its peak, today the population is only 48,000. The entire metro area, which includes the encompassing towns, has a population of about 243,000. And as you can tell by all of these people wearing winter coats and me in my hoodie right now. I'm actually quite cold. It is 46 degrees on Sunday, October the 6th. You can see steam emerging from whatever that building is over there. It is quite cold. And that cold, gloomy weather combined with the lack of economic prospects is a big reason why Binghamton seems so miserable. But it's not just Binghamton. A lot of people, including myself, struggle with mental health, anxiety, and depression. So I want to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video, because as someone who's constantly on the road alone and who doesn't see friends or family often, speaking with my therapist every week on BetterHelp has really helped keep me sane. So if you're struggling or feel alone, please know that you are not alone. And you don't need to deal with it alone. Talking about whatever stresses, worries, or shames you may have without fear of judgment can really help. And BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who will do just that, as well as offer you unbiased advice. To get connected, just use my link, betterhelp.com/fromheretothere, then answer a few simple questions, and you'll be matched with a therapist usually within 48 hours. And if you don't feel like it's a good fit, it's actually free of charge to switch therapists as many times as you would like until you find someone that you really connect with. Online therapy is honestly so convenient. You could do it from your home, your office, even your car, by phone, video, or even text chat. So if you think you would benefit from a therapy session, use my link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/fromheretothere to save 10% off your first month. But back to eerily empty Binghamton. I'm a little north of Confluence Park now. Straight in front of me is downtown Binghamton. And on my right is the Visions Federal Credit Union Veterans Memorial Arena. Wow, look at the sun actually above it. But this arena is apparently a hockey arena for the Binghamton Black Bears, which are part of the Federal Prospects Hockey League. It's a 5,000 seat arena, and it also hosts a lot of concerts and events. Directly next to it, we have a few other historic, quite large buildings. Yes, as you are going to soon find out, Binghamton has a much larger downtown area with a lot more amenities than most cities of 48,000 people. Because despite it now being a literal ghost town, like there are no people out and about. It appears the only people walking around are the people staying at this Holiday Inn. Crossing the road with a green light is there aren't even any cars in downtown. Oh, there we have one car finally. But as we enter gorgeous Washington Street, which I will say is quite picturesque, Binghamton once was a prosperous, booming city. So how about we get a little bit into that? Both the Onondaga and Oneida tribes have lived in this part of central New York for hundreds of years. But the first European settlement was back in 1779 with the Sullivan Expedition, which destroyed countless indigenous villages in the area, sadly. Now, the original name of Binghamton was Chenango Point. The modern town was laid out in 1800, and in 1834, it was incorporated as a village and renamed to Binghamton after the wealthy Philadelphian U.S. Senator William Binghamton. Over here, we have a place called Strange Brew. Looks like there's a lot of people inside. Yeah, I'm actually craving a coffee right now, so how about we head inside? Thank you. Oh wow, it is packed in here. Looks very nice though. It was actually too crowded in there. I didn't want to wait 10 minutes to get myself a coffee. So we're gonna continue our little tour through downtown Binghamton. Sadly, a lot of these buildings seem quite blighted and fallen into ruin. Now this is Court Street, which was one of the first streets ever laid out in Binghamton. The original two streets were Court Street as well as Water Street. Where that person is running straight ahead is where the first bridge that crosses the Chenango River was built. But yeah, I am literally in downtown Binghamton, and it seems like half of these buildings are just completely abandoned. I don't think I've ever been in a city in the Northeast that has looked in this bad of condition. Half the buildings are literally empty. I'm going to cross this street even though it did have a green light because we are in Binghamton and apparently there are no cars anywhere. Even over here, Boscov's has certainly seen better days, but the fact that there are a lot of clothes there is indicative of Binghamton's history. Because when the Chenango and Erie canals were linked in 1837 and then the Erie Railroad later arrived in 1849, Binghamton turned into a manufacturing powerhouse. It looks like, I don't know if that's police. Oh, it is an ambulance, okay. I was like, damn, is there a lot of crime in Binghamton? I mean, poverty is quite high. But as I was saying, the population grew from just 1,200 people in 1830 to 6,000 by 1850, as we are now at the Two Rivers Greenway. I guess this path connects with Confluence Park, where I just was a little earlier. But in the latter half of the 19th century, many immigrants started moving here due to all of the new manufacturing jobs. In the 1880s, Binghamton was actually the second largest US manufacturer of cigars. And there were a ton of clothing and in particular shoe factories in the town. By 1870, the population had grown to 12,700 people. And by 1890, it was 35,000 residents. By the early 1920s, Endicott Johnson, which is a massive shoe manufacturer, they became the region's largest employer, which attracted even more immigrants and led to this area being known as the Valley of Opportunity. Oh, I guess this one actually is a cop car. Maybe there is some crime in Binghamton. Now, after these cars pass, I'm going to commit a minor crime and jaywalk across this Court Street Bridge, because this shot over here, look at that house on the river. Wow, upstate New York is just stunning. It does appear that we have some unhoused people on the Riverwalk as well. But yeah, I can really see this city at one point being a very nice place to live. Like, it is just a beautiful, beautiful setting. The city's population surpassed 75,000 residents by the 1920s, but then obviously the Great Depression came, followed by two major floods in 1935 and 1936, which absolutely devastated the city and its economy. However, the city rebuilt itself and also built these massive flood walls. And the city also rebuilt its economy because IBM was actually headquartered just a little bit west of here in the neighboring town of Endicott. This, along with the invention of the flight simulator in Binghamton, transitioned the economy to a high-tech and defense-oriented economy following World War II. And the population actually grew again to reach over 80,000 residents by 1950. And as I now enter this West Side neighborhood, which it's quite strange, actually. There are some nice storefronts, and then buildings next to it do look still completely abandoned. So why do even a lot of these riverfront property homes seem to be not that well maintained? Why is this area turned into one of the most economically depressed regions of America? Because in a lot of ways, it doesn't make sense. Unlike most manufacturing cities, which obviously collapsed following the outsourcing of jobs, Binghamton actually transitioned their economy, and Binghamton University, about 3.5 miles west of town, is one of the best public universities in New York State. It produces a lot of very educated individuals. So in theory, this area should be doing better. I think over here, I don't think this is private property. I think I'm able to peek in here at the river. We got a little squirrel. I think this is someone's house. Is it someone's house? I mean, it's cool. And look at that. Finally, a sense of hope. We have a mural in this bleak city. There's also a memorial right over here. So everyone in this memorial died on April 3rd, 2009. Apparently there was a mass shooting at the American Civic Association Immigration Center here in Binghamton, New York. So yet another tragedy which occurred in the city that has become a tragedy in its own right. But I am now on Clinton Street, north of that Court Street Bridge. This was erected in 1936. Oh, look at that. We have another mural. So maybe there is a little bit more hope, a little bit more life than I previously thought. Oh, that must have been the old bridge for the railroad to go over the river as well. Yeah, it is so ominous. The way the sun is kind of peeking in, yet it's so cloudy, and the reflection of the clouds on the river. Oh, look at that building. That was the building I was just at, huh? Creepy. Outside of that coffee shop, I have probably seen a total, there's a car horn beeping, but I've probably seen a total of around 10 people thus far in Binghamton. Even downtown, it is now 9:30 a.m. and there is no one out and about.
My name's Andrew. Lived around here most of my life.
Statistically, Binghamton has the highest poverty rate of any city in New York. Do you feel that here?
Oh, I feel it, definitely. There's definitely poverty, that's for sure.
Okay, and what do you think the biggest reason for that is?
That's hard to put your thumb on, you know. I'm sure it's a combination of things. Drugs, just life situations. It's not any one person's fault.
How has the city changed throughout your life, if it has changed at all?
When I was younger, you used to be able to run around. You didn't need a parent with you to walk around. Nowadays, everything's changed. You can't even let your kids walk down the street without having to worry.
So it's quite dangerous here now, you'd say?
It can be.
What's the biggest misconception people have about Binghamton?
People are always judging people without knowing their story. Like me, for example, people see me and they don't really want to associate with you because, you know, homelessness and all.
So you're homeless right now?
Oh, currently. Oh, yeah.
And for how long have you been?
I've been homeless for almost a year.
Is the city good at helping?
There are resources available, but it's hard to access them sometimes.
Do you enjoy living in Binghamton, or would you want to move somewhere else one day?
I mean, I've lived around Binghamton my whole life. Change of scenery wouldn't be bad, but you know, I just love this town.
What's your favorite thing about Binghamton or growing up here?
Memories, you know. I've got a lot of memories here. Like, if you live somewhere your whole life, it's hard to separate from that.
Do you think there's hope in this city, or is it mostly a depressed part of the state?
Everywhere there's hope. There's hope every day.
Unfortunately, as Andrew was saying, there is quite a large homeless population in Binghamton. And unlike bigger cities which have people bust into the city, it appears that most of the homeless here are actually from this area originally, which is really sad. And the reason for that is once the Cold War ended, it resulted in a lot of closures in a lot of the defense-oriented and tech industries in Binghamton. IBM in particular, which was one of the region's largest employers, laid off several thousand workers within a few years span, which sent the local economy into a deep recession. The amount of jobs in the city dropped by 64% between 1990 and 2013. And as a result, the population has dropped to just 48,000 residents today. Now, the city has tried to revitalize its economy, particularly in services and healthcare, but as you can tell by a lot of these buildings that I've been walking by, they do not look like they have been renovated in quite some time. In 2007, a downtown campus of Binghamton University was built to hopefully bring new life to downtown, and it was semi-successful. There are some businesses, a lot more restaurants, but unfortunately the city just continues to experience extreme brain drain. Here we have United States Post Office and Courthouse. This building was completed in 1935, but it is no longer the post office today. And over here on the left, yeah, just so many of these buildings look completely abandoned. They are trying to spur some new life though. There's a mural. It's actually a really cool mural. We got one crosswalk colored in with colors, although these other crosswalks here are certainly not. And this parking lot is just completely empty. That's like a whole massive structure of parking lots. Oh, so I guess the reason for these crosswalks being colored in is because over here on State Street, the intersection of State Street and Henry Street, this is the Art Walk. This Art Walk is every first Friday. So it would have happened 2 days ago. It was established in the 2000s, and there's just all sorts of vendors and art up and down State Street. Again, many seemingly abandoned buildings. It's quite surreal. Like, it appears that there's a cafe in that building, but I don't know if it's abandoned. This building is certainly abandoned, but then there's a cool mural in this parking lot. Yeah, there's just an interesting combination of rundown buildings next to somewhat nice newer buildings, next to a bunch of beautiful street art. Oh, and I guess this is the train? Oh no, it's the bus station. We have an old Greyhound station. It is seemingly abandoned now, but it's actually got quite a cool aesthetic. This is Chenango Street. I am gonna continue up Henry Street, and yeah, whatever this building was, like, it's a big building, appears to be abandoned. The building next to it, I think, is completely empty as well. And then 100 Chenango Place. I think these are apartments. That's a depressing looking building. And then this street, I know it's a little hard to see with the sun, has definitely seen better days. Wow, this situation is not good. Yeah, there's quite a few homeless shown in this park over here. I am now on the northeast side of downtown. And yeah, these buildings look to be completely, wait, rooms for rent? You're telling me you can live inside that building? This one next to it is completely boarded up. The one next to it also appears abandoned with broken windows. And then the ones to the right of that also appear, if not abandoned, to be at least in very poor condition. Now, if you're wondering what the median household income in Binghamton is, it is currently $42,000, which is 44% below the US median of $75,000. And the unemployment rate of 4.4% in Broome County is actually tied for the highest unemployment rate in upstate New York. This here is the new United States Post Office of Binghamton. It was relocated from the original building over here back in 1967. And then directly next to it, we have Mirabito Stadium, but here's another shot of those other three homes, not against the sun. Yeah, this is sad. But yes, this is Mirabito Stadium, as you can see by the placards. It is a AA affiliate of the New York Mets, and the Binghamton Rumble Ponies play here. There is seating capacity for about 6,000 fans. I'm gonna see if there's a way to get a little peek. But yeah, it's quite a built up stadium, which I guess goes to show that this city really was prospering at one point. And up here on the left of the stadium, you can kind of peek in. It's a regulation size field. Quite a big seating capacity for a minor league team. And then over here we have some old buildings. I'd imagine these railroad tracks are the same ones laid out in the 1840s, the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western Railroad. It really seems like every other house in downtown Binghamton is completely abandoned, that the windows are shattered, and there's literally no one out and about. I'd imagine these streets used to be bustling some 50 years ago. Every other home, if not more in the downtown area, are completely abandoned. Like, that house doesn't look like it's been lived in for quite some time. Over here on the left, we do have the Phelps House Museum, which was built in 1870 for Sherman D. Phelps, who was a successful businessman, as well as the 5th mayor of the city of Binghamton. And to go along with how prosperous this city was in the late 1800s, this church right here, the St. Mary's of the Assumption, built in 1893. It's a beautiful, beautiful building. And it really goes to show what a fall from grace Binghamton had. Look at that. Every window is shattered. Phelps Mansion Museum, open for tours from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It is still only 9:45 a.m., so I am not able to go inside. But it looks like a beautiful old estate. One of many in the city of Binghamton, but look what it's directly across from. A lot of prime real estate here in Binghamton. It's just nobody wants to move here. The population is still declining despite the city being very, very affordable. The median home value is only $172,000. And look at the juxtaposition of that. We have a custom wrapped Tesla Cybertruck here on Court Street, which, by the way, it's 10 a.m. now. This street is still completely abandoned. There's not a single soul walking around. Although this is the main street in downtown, sadly, so many blighted buildings. But although Tropical Storm Lee in 2011 destroyed any hope that remained of recovery here in Binghamton with over $1 billion in damages, there are still a few charming neighborhoods as well as cool amenities that I want to check out. So let's head back to the car. Well, actually, let's check out the Broome County Courthouse first and tell you about the people that live in Binghamton. This is the Broome County Courthouse. It says 1892, and according to my research, it was actually built in 1897. That's interesting, it says 1892. But yeah, this is a beautiful classical revival style building. Oh, this might be William Binghamton. No, it's Daniel S. Dickinson, erected on this statue. A U.S. senator in the state of New York from 1844 until 1851, and the lieutenant governor of New York as well. But yeah, the courthouse is surrounded by many old buildings, probably built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, yet today, they're almost all in ruin. I am now on the other side of the Broome County Courthouse building. I have tried to interview at least 10 people, and every single person has been like, I'm in a rush, or I don't want to be interviewed. I have not got the warmest vibe from the people here, and understandably so. When you're struggling, you probably don't want to talk to a random person with a camera. But this is the Binghamton City Hall. It was moved here in 1972. And I'm not sure what this building to the left of it is. Oh, the county office building of Edwin I. Crawford. I think this building up here was the original City Hall building. Now it is apartments. Elaine, how has the city changed throughout your life?
It was a real prosperous city when I got here. I'm here since '88, and it was very prosperous, but then went downhill. But thank God there's Binghamton University. The students bring in revenue.
So that's the only economic driver now?
That's the only economic. Housing is the biggest problem we have in Binghamton. The rent's out of control. Students find it easy because 5 or 6 people can move into one apartment, so their rent is lower, but ours is starting at $1,000.
For like a one-bedroom apartment?
One-bedroom.
Oh, wow. You witnessed the fall of all the industry here.
I witnessed it, yes.
Was it like overnight or what gradual decline?
It was almost overnight. People started to go out of business. They got run down. You could still see in parts of the city how ran down the buildings are. There's still a lot that are ran down. That's how it looked through the whole city. Now it's starting to look a little better. I don't mind going downtown now. We're sitting here.
So it looks better than it did 10 years ago?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Still isn't like, there's only one clothing store and it's Boscov's. There's no place to get bread or milk or anything. There's no stores here. There's no pharmacy. But everything about the city has became better. Before it was just, there was nobody here. It was dead. No one would walk around the city. There's no reason to. And there still isn't a reason.
So right now, there's a lot of people compared to what it used to be.
There's a lot of people.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Compared to what it used to be, yes. It was a ghost town then.
So what's your favorite thing about the city now?
Just to walk around and see people here. You'd walk and there'd be no one on the street. But now, it's mostly youthful people, which is really nice. I'd say 70% of the people in the city are from the university.
So that gives you a hope for a brighter future here?
Yes, exactly. The city will get bigger.
Are there any more changes you would want to see happen to the city, or is it a good trajectory now?
I'd like to see more places to shop. Clothing, department stores. I'd like to see more of that here, because there isn't any in downtown.
Would you say the general vibe of the city is friendly, or are people more reserved to themselves?
It goes according to the university. When there's party night, there's party night. And when they're studying, like now, there's nobody out here.
So Friday, Saturday, it's pretty crowded here.
Yeah.
So I've heard there's actually a divide between the students and the locals. Some don't like that the university's here.
Some don't like it. I like the students. I worked at the university for 13 years in food service.
And have you been to other parts of upstate?
Oh, yeah.
How would you say Binghamton differs from the rest of New York?
It's a small city compared to some of them. Rochester, Buffalo, but I'm retired.
So statistically, Binghamton has the highest poverty rate in New York. Is that apparent here?
I'd say it is because of lack of businesses. People can't find work. It's hard. When students come here, they take a lot of their jobs. There's more students. They triple every year here.
One final question. Are there any like hidden gems or places that I absolutely need to check out?
I would say Boscov's because it's hundreds of years old. It originally started in Scranton. There's a few Boscov's.
And it's like a big department store?
It's a big department store. It still has the elevators in there, that bing, you know, when you go up on the floor. It really is something to see. Take a ride on the elevator.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good one.
You too.
And I guess we need to check out Boscov's then. I walked by it earlier. I assumed that it had kind of fallen into ruin. Yeah. Do you live in Binghamton? Yeah. Would you mind being interviewed? No? It's Metro Center, Phil's gift shop, that China one. I'm gonna try to walk inside there actually, because it really does seem abandoned. Oh yeah, you can kind of make out the outline of what it used to be. But no, it is a Chinese restaurant. There is the historic City Bank building erected in 1923. And this part of the city almost looks post-apocalyptic. I'm literally right downtown. I guess this used to be Pasquale's Pizza, that used to be Jimmy's. And it's all just like this now. Where are you from originally, David?
Well, I grew up in Appalachian in the next county over.
But you said you've been in Binghamton for 24 years now?
Yep.
And has the city changed quite a bit in your time here?
I'd say so, yeah. In my opinion, due to the university with the growing population of the students every year. Things like gentrification going on over Johnson City where it seems to be most evident.
So housing's become a real issue?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's everywhere. I would attribute a lot of it to the students. Another part of it probably being like the properties get run down and...
Mm-hmm. Statistically, Binghamton has the highest poverty rate in New York. Is that pretty evident?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a bit of a stretch in comparison to other places in New York State to me, but I don't travel a lot. But it's very evident.
What's your favorite thing about Binghamton?
I can't quite say what it is I like about it. I mean, I've just been here a long time. I guess I'd say it has a certain charm to it for me. I take photography. My friends tell me from the pictures that I take that they have a hard time believing that Binghamton can look really nice.
Yeah.
I walk everywhere, so I take pictures all over the place. Sunrises, sunsets, the architecture. Just the other night, I went on a paranormal investigation over in the old Goodwill Theater in Johnson City, and I had never been inside that building, and the architecture of it was very intriguing.
Is there a lot of paranormal history here?
I mean, they're doing another one over at the Phelps Mansion up the road here.
Oh, okay,
on
I passed that
Halloween
earlier.
evening.
I heard this used to be like a complete ghost town downtown. Would you say it's gotten more lively?
I would say, yeah, there was a lot of vacancies in some of the buildings here, but you could definitely tell that there's a lot of rejuvenating going on, you know, especially with like the First Ward Action Council. They've been renovating a lot of properties, and they actually, I saw a news story the other week, they're going to be doing even more. If you go down like Mather, it almost looks like brand new housing, but a lot of it's just been renovated.
What's the general vibe or like sentiment in the town? Is it hopeful or more on the depressed side?
Probably more on the depressed side, but I feel that that's a general thing with people just being pessimistic about the future.
And what's your opinion on the future of Binghamton?
I like to stay cautiously optimistic about it.
So you think things are improving?
No, I would say so, but it's a slow-going process.
Are there any changes you would want to see come to town? Or what's the main change you would want to see happen?
Probably just more infrastructure getting repaired. Affordable quality housing would probably be like, it's probably top of the list.
Do you know what the main jobs are that are still left?
I mean, other than like the service and retail stuff, it'd be in the medical field.
Medical, okay.
Because there's a couple of hospitals and all the different walk-ins, but you know, they haven't had like good manufacturing jobs here in a long time, like with IBM.
Yeah.
But there's still Lockheed Martin.
So Lockheed Martin's still here now?
No, that's out in Owego.
Okay.
But people commute out there. And then if you head out towards like the Conklin area, there used to be some circuit boards and stuff like that that would be used in guidance computers. Those are a long time ago.
So when you were growing up, the cities around the area were still booming with all those jobs?
I wouldn't know. That decline happened in the 80s.
And do you work right now?
Yeah.
Would you say the jobs pay enough to get by, or is it a struggle for a lot of people?
I mean, it pays enough to get by, but it's still a struggle because wages have not kept up with the inflation to make a sustainable living. There's a lot of social welfare recipients in this area too, and even with those things, it could be still having hard times making ends meet.
What do you think's the biggest misconception about Binghamton or this part of upstate that most people wouldn't understand?
That people think it's kind of a cesspool, this place being viewed as in a negative light. Everywhere has its own crime and stuff like that.
Is crime an issue here, or is it not as bad as maybe people think?
Seems like it's been on the rise for years, but you know, it seems like a moderate amount, I would say.
Good job. All right, thank you. Have a good one.
Yeah, man, have a good one.
So this is the BC Transit. There is public transportation in Binghamton. But now I am going to head into Boscov's, the department store in downtown Binghamton. Apparently, I was reading this is one of only a dozen department stores that are in downtowns of American cities. The original building was built in 1881. It used to house a place called Fowler's. But since 1984, it has been Boscov's, this department store. But yeah, this is something you seldom see, a department store still in an American downtown. Let's try to find where these elevators are though. Oh, over here, so on the left. Oh yeah. Got an old elevator.
Yeah.
I wonder how old this is. Second floor. After y'all have a good one, guys. The buttons in the elevator definitely have seen better days, just like most of Binghamton. I'd imagine this elevator is probably from the 80s. I don't think it's as old as Elaine was saying. But still pretty cool that there's a department store in a downtown. Oh, and they even have like, it's not just clothing. Like this is really a blast from the past. That is really freaking fascinating. Kind of like what Sears would have been like. I am back in the car now. I am going to drive to the south side of Binghamton. The sun has come out. It is quite nice, actually. There are a lot of police cars. This must be a county courthouse. Oh, Binghamton City Hall. Yeah, there's a lot of police cars right outside City Hall. This is the Veterans Memorial Hockey Arena that I started my tour of downtown. Yeah, the Binghamton Black Bears, your city, your team. And I am now driving over the Susquehanna River. That is that pedestrian pathway at Confluence Park.
Apparently, this Southside neighborhood is a good indicator of what regular life is like in Binghamton. The median home value in Binghamton is $172,000, which is less than half the US median of $362,000. And the New York State median is actually $483,000. So homes are very, very cheap compared to the rest of the US, compared to the rest of New York. But because there's literally no good paying jobs, a lot of people are still struggling to make ends meet. If you want to see where I am on the map, that is downtown. I have crossed the river and I'm gonna go up these neighborhood streets to see a home that is currently for sale for $215,000. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,200 square foot home. Wow, they just have a tent outside of their home. But this is the house here, yeah, for sale, 6 Edna Avenue, $215,000. This building in front of me is the UHS Binghamton General Hospital. At least on the exterior, kind of looks like an asylum. Wow, and look at the fall leaves here. Now, if you're wondering the types of people that live in the city of Binghamton, which is just, it's stunning here in the foothills of the Appalachians, the median age is 35.4 years. The population is 17% under the age of 18, 17% over the age of 65, and 27% of the population is between the ages of 20 and 29, which is far higher than the New York State average. And I'd imagine that has a lot to do with the university. And then over here, there's just like an electrical plant. I guess I am crossing over. Is this the Chenango Canal or where it used to be? The next house that I want to look at for sale is 7 Sheldon Street. It is a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot home. It is this one right here, ATA Realty. It is going for $70,000, so $100,000 cheaper than the median. And oh, look at that. The screen door appears to be open. Probably is not in the best of condition, this home, but $70,000. That is like the cost of a new pickup truck. The houses look to be a little run down, but the neighborhood doesn't look that bad. That's a pretty house right there. It's so weird seeing a house like that next to a house like this. Oh, look at this one over here. It's like a Christmas tree house. Binghamton also has no rent control, which has really hurt the local population. I looked at average rents. It's about $1,500 for a 2-bedroom apartment. But to get back into the demographics as we go past these, yeah, wow, every building has its paint just, oh, that one's got a cool little mural on it. But Binghamton is 48.2% male and 51.8% female. I'm now in the Park Terrace neighborhood in the Southern Hills. Downtown is up here. It is just stunning. I feel like I'm driving into a forest right now. It's such a picturesque little barn style cottage. Yeah, there's just woods on woods on woods. It's a cute painted blue house. I've been seeing a lot of houses with interesting pastel colors, but this is the home for sale. It is a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,700 square foot home for $400,000. And it's up in this beautiful, beautiful area that's less than a 10-minute drive from downtown Binghamton. We got some deer. Wow. Look at that. This is the Ross Park Zoo. Opened in 1875, it is actually the 5th oldest zoo in the nation, and it contains many, many animals and different exhibits, including red pandas, red wolves, a snow leopard, lemurs, penguins, bearcats, which are the mascot of Binghamton University. And it looks like this building used to be a carousel of some kind. I'm gonna see if I can take a little peek into the zoo. We definitely have some goats over here. It's kind of cool that this zoo is in a pretty wooded environment. Like, it almost seems like it's in the middle of the forest. Oh yeah, the red panda. Apparently that's one of their biggest exhibits here. That's the Binghamton Zoo Educational Center. This looks like an old building. Okay, so I would imagine this building is from 1875. So I think the actual entrance to the zoo is up this pathway. But to just shed light on how prominent of a city Binghamton really was in the late 1800s, the only zoos which were opened in the United States before this zoo were the ones in Philadelphia, Chicago, Cincinnati, and Buffalo. But while the difference is night and day between this beautiful park on the south side of town and downtown itself, I did want to show you guys the most dangerous and the poorest neighborhoods as well. And on our way, you can literally see downtown Binghamton from all the way up here on this hill. But to finish off the demographics, the city is 66.2% white, 12.9% black, 9.3% Hispanic or Latino, 5.4% Asian, 0.23% is Native American or Alaskan, and 6.4% of the residents of Binghamton were actually born in another country. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, the poverty rate is 32.6%, whereas the poverty rate of the state of New York, which already is the 9th highest poverty rate among any state, is only 14.3%. But unlike most cities with high poverty rates, Binghamton actually has very high rates of college education. 30.7% of adults here have a bachelor's degree or higher, because there's 18,000 students at Binghamton University, which is over a third of the population. You would not believe that the city I was in 3 hours ago is the same city I am in right now, because it is so freaking sunny here. But this sun that you see actually isn't a common occurrence. There are only around 152 sunny days per year, whereas there are 213 cloudy days per year. But I am now in the southeast neighborhood of town. That is the Susquehanna River. And the house that I wanted to check out, this is it right here. Yeah, it definitely needs some serious work, but it is a 6-bed, 2-bath, 2,100 square foot home going for $69,000. Wow, yeah, these homes. I have no idea what that building is over there, but it looks down to the stilts almost. Now, most cities that I've visited, I feel like the stats don't tell the full picture, and they're a lot nicer than the media maybe portrays them out to be. Binghamton, I feel like the situation's worse than the stats suggest. We're crossing the Susquehanna River yet again. You can see the flood wall that was built following the devastating floods in the 1930s. And welcome to the North Side neighborhood, the most dangerous and poorest neighborhood in Binghamton. Just by looking at these homes, no trespassing, no parking. Now, the overall crime rate in Binghamton is only 88% above the national average, whereas the violent crime rate is 82% above the national average. But yeah, look at these homes. That home is in terrible condition. And then over here is the home for sale, the 6-bed, 2-bath, 1,900 square foot multifamily home for $40,000. This whole neighborhood, man. Every home. I think someone still lives in this building. But yeah, that house, $40,000, it is yours. Oh, look at this home right here. I'm wondering what they're building in this massive lot here. It might be new apartment buildings, just like that building is next to this completely blighted building. Yeah, I think this building is getting ready to be demolished right now to go along with whatever this is over there. But yeah, there's all sorts of stuff inside. It's a skateboard. Damn. It's tragic. And I looked up the poverty rate in this North Side neighborhood. It is currently 48.8%. That is so sad. And yeah, you can tell by these buildings. They're just in absolutely awful condition, even compared to the buildings that I've been seeing earlier. Now, this grayish building is currently for sale for $70,000. It is a 3-bed, 1-bath, 1,700 square foot home. Oh, and this building up here though, wow, that is. But I am now leaving the North Side neighborhood. I am heading east to the New York State Inebriate Asylum, which was the first asylum used to treat alcoholism as a disease. It opened back in 1858. So yes, Binghamton, you probably have never even heard of this place, but there is a lot of history here and a lot of poverty too. All of these buildings, man. These are some former businesses which appear to have closed down now. I think this up here used to be a theater. What happened here? East Side Tavern. Yeah, this whole East Side neighborhood is almost completely deserted now. But on the bright side, the weather has actually turned out to be quite nice today. While this morning it was a brisk 43 degrees Fahrenheit, it is currently 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And the average temperatures in the summertime here are gonna probably be in the mid to high 70s during the day. Oh, this is Calvin Coolidge Elementary School.
appears to be a pretty nice school. And then in the wintertime, the temperatures drop to the mid-teens to low 20s at night. But being up in the Appalachian Mountains, you're gonna have pretty drastic temperature swings. Now, the reason it's normally very cloudy here is due to Binghamton's close proximity to the Great Lakes. But that is the State University of New York Medical Center. And straight ahead of me is the State Asylum. Yeah, it's definitely abandoned now. I had to take my sweater off because it has truly turned into a beautiful, probably final summer day here in Binghamton. Today is October the 6th, as I mentioned earlier. Yet it is 71 degrees outside and there is not a cloud in the sky. Now, directly to my left is the old New York State Inebriate Asylum. It has not been in operation for quite some time, yet the building is still up. Apparently it is paranormal. I don't know why so many cars are parked here. These are New York State cars. Yeah, they all say New York State on them. Does anyone know why there's so many cars parked out? And that blue bus is creepy too. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you know why there's so many of these state official cars right outside this asylum. Holy, what a creepy building. I think that is downtown Binghamton up there. Yes, it is. Wow, even the Family Dollar looks very run down. Wow. But yes, while the city of Binghamton itself is kind of a tragedy in and of itself, now I want to take you guys to where perhaps the worst tragedy in Binghamton's history occurred. Wow, look at that freaking building. Holy, I think that's the worst conditioned building I've seen in all of Binghamton. But to go back into how much of a freak occurrence this stellar weather is, Binghamton is actually one of the 10 rainiest cities in the United States. Oh wow, look at these. These have to be old clothing or shoe or cigar factories right along the river. But Binghamton has 164 rainy days per year. There are 42 inches of annual rainfall. And then there are 84.4 inches of annual snowfall across 65 snowy days per year. Yes, it isn't hit quite as hard by the lake effect snow as cities like Buffalo or Rochester, but you're still gonna experience real winter that's likely gonna last at least 6 months out of the year. It can snow from the end of October until early May. That building appears to be in terrible condition as well. But we are now going to cross the Clinton Street Bridge, which I walked over earlier. And this here is Clinton Street on the east side of town. Holy. I thought I was just gonna show you guys a historic tragedy, but every building in this city almost, it seems. I thought downtown was bad. Downtown might be the best part of town. I mean, people are obviously still living here, but holy, this is bad. It almost appears as if business hasn't been in this part of town for at least 30 years. Seems like most of these buildings were abandoned a long time ago. These old factories even longer ago. This is the entrance to the Binghamton Fire Factory Memorial. So on July the 22nd, 1913, on the premises of the Binghamton Clothing Company, a fire raged out, killing 31 of the 100 people inside. And I'd imagine all of these gravestones are from people that died in this fire on that fateful day. So I'm actually in the Spring Forest Cemetery. I don't know if I'm supposed to drive on this road, but it didn't look like there was any place I could park, so I think you just park anywhere on the grass. This is such a beautiful and peaceful cemetery. The way the leaves are blowing in the wind is just so calming. But sadly, in front of me right now is the memorial of those that lost their lives in the Binghamton Clothing Company's fire. 21 unidentified women were buried here, in addition to the names that you see in front of me. And apparently, New York completely reformed their fire code as a result of this fire. It was one of the most tragic fires in American history. But although this is such a beautiful space in Binghamton, I don't want to be disrespectful to all of the lives that were buried here. So instead, let's check out a different beautiful recreation area, Recreation Park. But before I head to Recreation Park, I am actually getting quite a bit hungry right now. And there is a delicacy known as the Speedy, which originated here in Binghamton. They're good? Alrighty. I'm at Speedy and Rib Pit.
And this is one of the staples. Apparently I have to try one of these while I'm in Binghamton. Let's order one. So the Speedy was invented either in the 1920s or 30s by Italian immigrants right here in Binghamton. It consists of pieces of cubed meat in a roll. Let's try it out. That is really freaking good. So I'm realizing Speedy and Rib Pit used to be located right here. That building is now abandoned. It looks like they built a new one. The Speedy was absolutely delicious, so now that my hunger has been satiated, let's head onward to Recreation Park. This is Recreation Park. It appears that the Binghamton Farmers Market is occurring between 11 and 2 on Sundays. It is currently 1:08 p.m. on Sunday. So we got a lot of vendors out and about. Daily bread, cider, fresh picked fruits and veggies. We got hot sauce, jams. Wow, this is real nice. So Recreation Park was originally deemed a public park space back in 1921, but unfortunately by the 1980s, almost all of it had fallen into severe disrepair. But fortunately, many of the monuments and buildings that you see in front of me were restored between 1986 and 2004. And there's so many old growth trees. This is cool. And look at this over here. Wow. That looks like an old pagoda. It appears as though a birthday party is going on the left, but the park is 18 acres large in total. There's a cool little treehouse style building over there. It's like a themed playground for kids to play in. And then obviously this old white building with the Roman pillars. No profanity, please. Young ears are listening. Would you look at that? This park even has a public pool. There are tennis courts, baseball field right here, and another baseball field directly behind the swimming pool. But the main reason I wanted to come to this park, well, check out what this statue is first. But then the statue up there is the Rod Serling statue. He was the creator of the Twilight Zone, and he was actually born in Binghamton. Let's check out this one first. George F. Johnson. So this is the man actually who owned all of this land and then gave it to the city as long as the city promised to maintain it as a public park. Have faith in the people. But over here, Rod Serling's quote is, "Everyone has to have a hometown. Binghamton's mine." I feel like that's quite a blunt statement. You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Yeah, fascinating. So I'm here with Molly, a student at Binghamton University. And where did you say you were from originally again?
Saugerties, New York, Hudson Valley.
And so Binghamton has the highest poverty rate of any city in New York. Is that a fair assessment, or is that taken out of proportion?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of lower class people here, a lot of homelessness.
Is there quite a divide between the university and the rest of the city?
Yeah. I mean, it depends. You know, if you work off campus, you'll work with people who live in Binghamton, but otherwise...
So do students not go downtown?
No, they do. It's pretty mixed, you know, but you can usually tell when it's a student. A lot of students here are from like Long Island or the city, higher income areas.
So what is there exactly to do for fun when you're not studying?
We go to the bars, we go out to eat, a lot of nature, good academics, great school, but... You could say the same thing about Syracuse, you know.
So there's nothing that special about Binghamton?
I wouldn't say it's not a huge standout. You know, I go here because I'm a student and it's an amazing school.
But after you graduate, you'll probably go somewhere else?
Yeah. I'll probably move back home after.
Are there any changes you would want to see happen in Binghamton?
I guess help fix homelessness. I don't even know how. Just redistribute the wealth of the lower income people. It would create a more safe environment for everybody.
Do you think the city does a pretty good job of that, or is it not?
I mean, I'm assuming they do the best that they can, but there's definitely a lot of homelessness here. Like if you walk down any of the main streets, you'll see at least 3 or 4 people with shopping carts, with kids. It's tough to watch sometimes.
What would be the wildest thing that you've seen in Binghamton?
Same thing as before. And not super wild, but there was a woman outside my apartment. She was having like a bad high from some sort of drug and freaking out and like ramming her head into the side of the building and just like on the ground, rolling around. I called the cops and they did everything they could to help her.
Is that the first time you've done that, or is that often people have to do that?
That's the first time I've called, but people definitely have to do that often.
What, in your opinion, is the general vibe of the city? Is it hopeful for a brighter future, or most people... Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. Binghamton's a great city. Like I said, so many people come here for school, driven, motivated, and people in Binghamton are super nice, friendly, welcoming. I work at Applebee's, so I work with a lot of people who grew up in Binghamton, and they're amazing, super helpful, patient.
And so would you say that's your favorite thing about Binghamton, is the people, or?
I like the nature, like this park, a lot of good hiking spots, the rivers here. I dislike the cold, but yeah, really pretty upstate nature in Binghamton.
I guess to go off the cold, Binghamton's also the cloudiest city east of the Rockies, if you didn't know. Is seasonal depression a real thing here?
Oh, for sure. You ask any student at BU and they will agree. Seasonal depression hits hard, but it's part of Binghamton. It's okay. I have work at 4 and I thought I have to go outside before it's freezing and dark at 4 p.m. So.
And Molly being a student at Binghamton University is a great segue to our final stop, which is potentially the crown jewel of the city. Let's go to Binghamton University. I am now technically in the neighboring city of Johnson City, but we are crossing over the Susquehanna River yet again. And welcome to Binghamton University. This is one of the best public universities in the state of New York, as well as one of the top research universities in the country. It was founded in 1946. It has around 18,200 students, if you include undergrad as well as postgrad. And it sits on 930 acres. It is quite a big campus. Now, technically, we are no longer in the city of Binghamton. I'm about 3.5 miles southwest of downtown in a town called Vestal. Binghamton University Art Museum. Looks like they got some tours going on right now. This is a nice campus, wow. Over here is the engineering building. It looks like this whole courtyard and a lot of the university in general is undergoing a lot of construction right now. That is the Glenn G. Bartle Library. But yeah, even with this construction, the difference of the amount of investment put into this campus versus the downtown area, you almost wouldn't think you were in the same metropolitan area. But because of this university, unlike most cities which have high poverty rates, 30.7% of the population actually has at least a bachelor's degree or higher. So if there's going to be any hope of a revival, it's probably going to start right here with this school and its high quality research, which hopefully will attract new companies to town to create jobs for the educated populace and convince them to stay. And this is what the inside of one of the buildings called the Union looks like. The mascot is Baxter the Bearcat, because Binghamton University sports teams are called the Bearcats. And here are some beautiful shots of the different seasons in Binghamton. It is currently fall, and it is going to be that for at least 5-6 months. Oh, and over here we have the Binghamton University bookstore. I guess it's closed because today is Sunday. Welcome to the Union. But please leave a like if you enjoyed my adventure to Binghamton today. Comment down below any other interesting cities or towns I've probably never heard of that I should check out. And I will see you all in around a week with my next adventure. Pew. So I'm in this parking lot where most of the businesses are completely abandoned.